Namaskar, Jai Hind. I welcome you to this session. Mains 2024 has already seen its general studies phase. That's about the optional phase that is remaining. We'll see there also, but I must tell you, whether it be about essay, whether it be about geography or environment, or even other subject, I would say, because I am precisely related with current affairs, geography, environment, and essay, I must tell you that I and you have hit lot of questions. Let me discuss with whatever has come, and then maybe I'll put you through that what exactly we discussed in the class and how it has manifested. Let's find out an analysis plus somewhat our relationship that has given us a question there in the mains examination while we put you through questions and the question has come there. Now if I would like to give you an analysis here, please see UPSC GS1 had seen your history, society, geography, and if I see geography, the questions that were peaking around 90, 100, 110 as per the marks has come around 65 this year. And we had the reintroduction of world history coming, and we have good many questions of society coming, and this was about paper 1. So these marks were totally achievable. I must say this. Every question that has come in geography was from the class notes that has been given. And you must go back and see, or if you are not having that access, go and see to other notes there who have already had that access, that the classes have helped us. Second, when I saw paper 3, I was even happier. Even when the environmental questions around 14%, and I did not take your disaster and management, that is for sure. But even if I relate environment with disaster management, we had specific content being given to you in the form of current affairs and the direct environmental classes. I'll prove it today. But let's have some discussion first. Let's start with an analysis of what has come in UPSC CSE Mains 2024 in the paper 1 geography. I'm beginning with the session. Let's understand the first question going to come in front of you. What is sea surface temperature rise? How does it affect the formation of tropical cyclones? 150 words, 10 marks. And I must tell you, these are the thunder effect of the class notes that you are empowered enough to write in the examination. How? I must tell you, we have discussed in the classes what is sea surface temperature, and we have also discussed what is the rise of sea surface temperature. Let me take you through a journey, maybe where we had a discussion while we were doing oceanography in the classes. We had an idea about that there is sea surface temperature. If you remember, we drew some of our isotherms. We drew our isotherms that were passing all over the oceans. And if you remember in the classes, we have divided the isotherms as per the oceans of Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Ocean. We did this. There were isotherms that were passing. We also discussed that how the temperature variation in the oceanic water take place. And while I was on the sea surface, what is the temperature over there? We have already discussed. कि जब हम लोग ऊपर सतह पे हैं, what is the temperature there? We have already discussed it in the classes. अभी temperature कहाँ से आ रहा है? Even then I asked you the same question. The sea surface temperature, is it because of sun's insolation, or is it because of the earth's heating that is being shed out? What is it? And I think you had varied answers then. But I told you, it is about insolation that your earth is receiving that temperature, and even your water is receiving that temperature and storing the heat. That is the sea surface temperature. And if I take you through an average of it, this average of it was somewhere around 19 to 20 degrees Celsius. This was the average. But if I see over the years, this has been increasing, and has reached now somewhere around 21.4 degrees Celsius. This is the rise of sea surface temperature. Sea surface temperature has risen to around 21.4 degrees Celsius in 2024. But it is not that for the first time it has happened. It has been rising, going down. It has been doing so. But now it is 21.4 degrees Celsius. Now, they have asked you, what is it? So, sea surface temperature is an average temperature that is for the whole ocean. Towards the Arctic, if you go, there is low sea surface temperature. When you come to the subtropics, it is the maximum. When you come around the equator, it is somewhat more. But if I take out an average, it is somewhere around 19 to 20 degrees Celsius, which is working. Now, what is the reason? Why the rise? Even if they have not asked you, I don't mind putting in a statement there that because of the global warming, because of the gases that are all around, emissions, because of urbanization, anthropogenic activities, your sea surface temperature has been increasing. And it has gone from somewhere around 19-20 degrees Celsius to around 21.5 degrees Celsius. This is what we have already discussed. And we discussed for salinity also, if you remember. We have done that oceanography very well. And see, the question has come directly. Now, the second part of it, does it impact cyclone? Of course, it has to do so. You know that cyclones have 6 basic parameters that if satisfies, a cyclone would come up. And I think instead of me repeating, you can repeat it all yourself. I think you have already mugged up from the class notes. We have discussed it. The first was sea surface temperature greater than or equal to 27 degrees Celsius. 27 degrees Celsius or more can be the sea surface temperature for a cyclone to be there. If my average temperature is 20, risen to 21.4 degrees Celsius, that is the average. If I'm having 27 degrees Celsius, that's a very warm water. That means cyclones have affinity towards warm water. We need a low pressure center. We need a minimum Coriolis force. We need an upper divergence system. We need the vertical wind shear to be minimum, wind shear to be minimum. And what was this? We have discussed in the class that the upper power of the wind and the lower power of the wind must be somewhat equal. Otherwise, the upper part will go away. And we must also have moisture. We must also have moisture. Having said this, our cyclone will be made. So if the sea surface temperature is increasing, that means there are more affinities or tendencies more of cyclone. The tendencies of cyclones will increase. And that is the reason that today, if I were to put you if I were to put you, Arabian Sea is having more cyclogenesis this year. Because Arabian Sea is getting warmer, we have more of cyclones coming by. Not only this, if there is more of your Western Pacific warming up, if the Western Pacific is warming up, that means more of cyclones. And not only more of cyclones, it can also be that if a cyclone is dying up, suppose if a cyclone is dying up, dissipating cyclone is there, and it enters a water which has a temperature of 27 degrees Celsius, that also means the cyclones have got the fuel to continue. They have got the fuel to continue, and they can even be disastrous. That is the idea, sir. We have discussed it in the classes so many times. I hope it is fine with all of you. Got the answer? That was totally from whatever we have discussed. And when I put you through such questions, I have always enjoyed your curiosity to develop. And when it develops, you can try to challenge any question in the UPSC rounds. Let's move forward and see the second question. Why do large cities tend to attract more migrants than the smaller towns? Discussed in the light of conditions in developing countries. Now, do remember, I have done human and economic geography in the classes, and I again take you through thunder effect of these notes. If you would have gone through the human economic geography, you had so many facts, I would say. And why do large cities tend to attract more migrants? I have to discuss this in the context of developing countries. That means few things. Let's understand. So when I say I have a large city, it has certain things with it. And these are called as the pull factors. The pull factors. Now, why in the context of developing country that also becomes important? Developing countries have set up certain cities as fast moving ones. They do not have all the cities as developed, but certain cities as fast developing ones. Hence, if someone is looking towards a large city which is actually expanding and expanding and expanding, there are certain pull factors that they are attracted to. And these pull factors can be across your infrastructure, can be across your economic activities, can be across your education, can be across your hospitals, can be across your societal things, can be across your political things, can be across your cohesion that exists within the city. And this is the precise reason why the cities are getting larger, and when they become larger, they attract. Do remember, we discussed one fact also as per census. We discussed that at any time, around 400 to 450 million people in the country, they are internal migrants. Imagine, and where this migration is to, we have a source and we have a destination. And I would want to make a map here. I would want to make a map here showing you what exactly can happen. Just imagine. So I'll try to put you through a map, and maybe in the examination also, I will have to make a map. We discussed map making also too many times. I hope you remember all these things. Now, there are certain points which are going to be a great destination, and these are increasing, these are increasing, these are increasing, these are increasing. And why they're increasing? Larger cities, more resources, more sort of affinities of the people to move there, and they have been increasing. Yes, this is about the migration. The people would love, and where the source is from. The source is here, the source is here, the sources are here, here, even here, and they will have a greater sphere of influence that they are attracting. So this is the idea. This is the idea about this question. Again, a very easy question, and we have discussed it so many times. We have already covered the chapter of migration so well. Even further questions, if they have asked you, you would have done it correct. Okay, let's move. What is the phenomena of cloud bursts? Explain. See, imagine. I think we have done it at least 4 or 5 times. Go and check your notes. Thunder effect. Hence, I am telling you. This is the power of content. If you have the content with you, no one can stop you. Cloud burst. Do remember, we have done it. Even for the new students, we have done it. I must show you. What is cloud burst? See, it's not a normal process. You must have 10 centimeter of rainfall in a very small period of time. That is a cloud burst. That does not mean that badal phat gaya. Cloud burst is a phenomena. It's a proper geographical phenomena. Let's understand what is it. So, where is it happening? I told you, if I compare valley versus hill terrain, you understand that it will happen at the hill terrains. And why is it so? It requires elevation. It requires elevation. And why the elevation is needed is because the convections can happen here. Of course, the convections can happen here. The air parcels can go above. The convections can happen. But these convections do not have the power to have such a magnitude of rainfall. Rainfall will happen, but not that magnitude that I am looking for. Small area, small amount of time, greater precipitation. That is cloudburst. Now, what has happened? As it ascends up, imagine something is ascending above. Now, this condensation process even gets complex. So, when the clouds and the air parcels, they are ascending up because of orography. This is because of orographic upliftment. Orographic upliftment, and as it happens, lot more clouds come up, sir. Lot more clouds come up. And still it is increasing. That means now my cloud is already saturated. My cloud is already saturated and it is moving towards super saturation. And as it further rises, bigger clouds which have super saturated water, they come up. Now, any further rise in them can lead to no more moisture holding back and pouring all the moisture that is there with me. Now, there are air parcels also that are working in the hilly areas, and they keep on ascending these clouds to such a level when they exceed that at this point, the water cannot be held back and it just blasts here. The moisture pours down, and whatever is there in between, everything is washed away. The cloudbursts of Sikkim, the cloudburst of Uttarakhand, we all know of. This has happened already, where the whole civilization there, the whole city over there was troubled. The defense estates were troubled. And this is what is cloudburst. So it requires a continuous upliftment. continuous convection and an air that is pushing them above and above. And once they are super saturated, they just pour down everything. They just pour down everything. That is cloudburst, sir. And I think we have discussed it so many times. So many times. I hope this is fine with you. Let's move forward. Total in class notes, I'm again telling you. Okay. Groundwater potential of the Gangetic Valley is on a serious decline. How may it affect the food security of India? Dear sir, go back and check if you are there, if you have been writing notes with us. I must tell you, we discussed about water scarcity, water security, and water quality issues. We have already discussed what are these: water stress, water scarcity, water quality. And in that, we have discussed many times as to how the groundwater potential of the Gangetic Valley is on a serious decline. The Gangetic water is declining. How may it affect the food security of India? Let's understand. It is on a decline, sir. It is on a decline. Let's see why. So my groundwater has been covered in the classes. You can go and check. We have also covered the quantity part of it, and we have also covered the quality part of it. We have covered it, both the things. And once I say this, please understand, the groundwater of the Gangetic Valley per se has been, this regime has been going down. This regime has been going down. So if I were put you through this sort of thing, I understand that throughout this Gangetic plains, Gangetic valleys, we have few things that is working. Number one, irrigation is increasing. Tube wells is increasing. We have inefficient water spread. We have the population density increasing. Now, my question is, how is it going to impact the food security? How is it going to impact the food security, sir? When I talk about food security, I must be very clear. Food security talks about three things. A. Accessibility, affordability, and availability. If the food security is threatened, that means three A's are troubled: accessibility, affordability, and availability. If I have less of groundwater regime today, that would directly hit my production of crops. So production is challenged. If production is challenged, I will not have availability of food. If the production is challenged, it will become costlier. And since it becomes costlier, it will not be affordable. And if I don't have that much of crops and I have great population density, will it be available to all in the same manner? No, sir. That is an unequal distribution of food crops that will start. Unequal distribution will start because I do not have access. Not all can have access to that superior quality of crop that has been produced because of less water. So increased problem of distribution will be there. Not only this, sir, nutritional challenges would come. Nutritional challenges would come and the people would suffer from malnutrition, hidden hunger. That also calls me about hidden hunger that exists in these parts. I will be having a lot of compromises with my irrigation and maybe the whole area would be troubled. So the Gangetic Valley is really on that brink. Today, the groundwater has been going down quality-wise and quantity-wise also. Let me also put you through the quality. Please understand, these are the areas where arsenic, I have shown you the image in the classes. Do remember? Arsenic contamination too much. We have nitrates in the water. This is causing what? Will my crop be good enough to take up arsenic contaminated water? No, sir. More of salinity in your water can affect my crop production. So this is the idea. You just take up one word and you have an analysis over it, you can answer it. We have discussed it again in the class. You have the notes with you, and I'm again telling you, make your notes dynamic. Also joined with current affairs and whatever static we have been doing. Very important. Moving forward. What are auroras australis and aurora borealis? How are these triggered? So do remember, I have discussed it, and I would not say I, every one of us would have discussed this. This is the bare minimum that anyone would do. Very easy question. Auroras australis and auroras borealis, these are the different hemispheres that they are found in. Very easy for us to identify. And see, how are these triggered? Now becomes very important for us also, sir. We have got great sun giving every such energy throughout the universe of yours, and we have got our small earth that has got a tilt. Now we understand that our earth has somewhat a magnetic field around it. We totally understand it. It has a magnetic field around it. But that means that we also have the magnetic lines going or bending inside at the polar area. See, the magnetic lines are not here, the magnetic lines are not here. They can have more encompassing here, but not at the poles. So when the radiations would come, imagine the radiations when they travel, they have the chance to go inside your magnetic field. And once they go inside the magnetic field, there they find various layers of atmosphere. For example, you have troposphere, you have stratosphere, you have mesosphere, you have thermosphere, you have exosphere. It is the thermosphere which becomes pertinent now, becomes very indispensable. This is the point where whatever radiations they were coming by, they go inside this because magnetic line is not to be found here around the polar areas. And as these lines go inside, they have direct hit with your thermosphere. And as they go inside, you have in the thermosphere, there are certain ions, certain gases that keep on moving. So as they enter inside, they strike here, they strike here. What are these? These are photons, charged particles, sun's energy. They hit your ions, they hit your gases. Now what will gases do? Gas molecule, it will get charged up. And as it gets charged up, it loses out ions here. So the equation that is here is, you have certain gases plus your energy, which is equal to ions plus heat or energy released. This energy released can be seen in the form of a color, can be of two types. It could be greenish, it could be purplish. And you can say that if it is greenish, that means some oxygen bond has broken there. And if it is purplish, some nitrogen bond has broken there. That is, this color is a whole event called as auroras in the sky. The whole sky will look green to you. But from where do you see this? From the polar areas if you stand. If you stand around equator, no sir, no sir, you may not be able to see it. But around the polar areas, you can directly see there, okay, somewhere around thermosphere it is happening. The sun's rays, photons are hitting, the charged particles are moving by, they are releasing energy, and that energy comes to my eyes in the form of a color that is green, purple, brownish, etc. That is aurora. So if it happens in the southern hemisphere here, we call it as aurora australis. And if it happens here, we call it as aurora borealis. Aurora borealis. Now, my question to you is, even then back in the class I asked you, can auroras be seen from equator? Can it be seen? Do comment in the answer. Let's see. We discussed in the class. Let's find out. Can aurora be seen around equator? Let's find out. You will tell me the answer. I'm moving forward. Okay. What is a twister? Why are they majorly, or why the majority of them are found, observed in the areas around the Gulf of Mexico? Twister क्या है? What is twister? सर अगर आपको याद हो तो हम लोग क्लासेस में I wanted to show you various maps. I had shown you, and in that I had shown you the northern plains where something of great intensity was developed. Now imagine these twisters, oblique tornadoes, these are nothing but a thunderstorm getting descent on Earth. Descent on Earth. That is a thunderstorm getting descent on Earth. Now, what might have happened? Imagine. I have a front system already discussed in the class. I hope you remember it, the front system. And we discussed the front system. We talked about how exactly things are developing. Imagine the warm water and the warm air from the Gulf of Mexico is coming this way. And we have the cold wind coming from the northern part of America. And they would all like to meet here, they collide here. As they collide here, there is a front that has developed. So this is cold, this is warm from Gulf of Mexico. They collide here and a 3D zone is created in between called as a front. This has been created. Now imagine if this front is created already, we know for sure something. There's a great instability here. Instability is caused here. And this is great cause of instability here. And we have talked about already that when cold and the warm system meets and the front is developed in between, it is not the cold that will leave the ground. Cold kabhi zameen nahi chhodega. हमेशा गर्म हवा जमीन छोड़कर ऊपर उठेगी, rise करेगी. And that is what happens here. This rises above, this touches the ground, and what might have happened is, यहां होता क्या है कि cold तो नीचे रह गया और warm ऊपर चला गया. As the warm goes above, again more of instability is created. More of instability is created. So this more of instability, cold, warm, more of instability causes thunderstorm there. Thunderstorm in the clouds or at some altitude. Thunderstorms are going to be created. Thunderstorms. So imagine it requires continuous air. No, it requires continuous air. So what happens? A continuous air supply is happening from here, and these want to go above and they rise and they just make system here of thunderstorms. Continuous rising of air from here. Now, as this continuous rising of air is happening here, this continuous rise along with a cold intertwined, it's a cold, warm, or cold air here and the warm air going up. This makes a system to rotate. And around this level, around the cloud level, this thing starts a rotation. And as it starts the rotation, this is the rotation that happens here. The wind that has been maybe sucked up by this actually makes a front or makes a structure like this. We have continuous going up of the wind from here and it is sucked above. And at some later point it is thrown here or thrown here, but at this point it is sucked in. So what exactly is happening is a thunderstorm is nothing but a sort of frontal cyclone being created, but not in a very broad perspective, a strong perspective and a small perspective. I have this thunderstorm that has been developed here and it is still sucking in the wind. Now what happens is this actually takes this way. And this is a thunderstorm that moves on the ground. Because of the wind now, it can move either this way or this way, wherever the wind takes it. And it is on the ground. That means what I needed is, I needed some instability that is created, yes. I needed some pressure, random changes that was created, yes. And number third, what I needed is, I needed some long, large ground for me to work upon. If there is no friction on the ground, I can move easily, and that is what is needed. Hence, our thunderstorms, tornadoes, or twisters, they are more active around large plain areas. And if you pass Gulf of Mexico and go to the northwest, you enter to the plain areas, the central northern plains of USA. So it is not only about USA where it happens, sir. It happens around North America. So I would have given you a map also. We discussed about a map also, I must tell you. Let's see. Let's see. We have already discussed that this is the home of twisters. This is the home of twisters. Around Bangladesh, twisters. Around Australia, twisters. So these are the homes of your twisters. Too much of twisters. And they occur around when the two differential winds, they combine or they interact. We need some differences in the wind. One could be warm, one would be cold, and then you get a twister there in the long plain areas, large plain areas. So mind you, we need some large areas, then only it will happen. Otherwise, it will not happen. So the same principle as we discussed, it requires a frontal thing to come up, difference between the winds, the pressure, a dynamic thing comes up, and you have a great tornado coming up, a twister coming up. This is how it is formed. And this is actually why it is observed in the Gulf of Mexico, because you have great warm and the cold difference. Gulf of Mexico is relatively warm and you have a cold wind coming from the north. So when these two interact, they are going to have a sort of front being made. And since there are large plain areas in between, they are found here. If you remove the plain areas, it will not be formed. So it's a sort of isotropical area, a plain area, featureless area where these twisters come up. I hope you got the point. So that was about your geography. Easiest, I would say, easiest for us, since you have the thunder pack of notes with you. Now, I'm also moving towards environment, agriculture and disaster management, maybe. Let's have a look at it also, because somewhat related with environment only. Let's find out. Agriculture we did in geography. Explain the role of millets for ensuring health and nutritional security in India, sir. How many of us in the classes we did not talk about how millets can bring about regional development? How millets have been increasing in India? How a decade of millets you have been discussing? And you got a question that how they can ensure health and nutritional security in India. Health and nutritional security, sir. So that is very correct here. So when you move forward, we have millets that are preferably on your dry lands. They require less of inputs. They are precisely into the dry and arid areas. They love it. Require less water. They are cost effective. And when someone grows it, I must tell you, millets, they have good health impacts. It is said that they are nutritious, even with the micronutrients. They sum up to our daily needs of minerals. They fight hidden hunger well. They are better than wheat, which today has there's a new thing going on, no? Glycemic index. People are not having gluten. They're not having gluten. So the wheat that has gluten is now actually going towards in the favor of, the people are going into the favor of millets. They don't have gluten. They're gluten free. So they don't have allergic responses or triggerings as compared to wheat or other whole cereals. They don't have that much of triggering of allergies. So health and nutritional security. Health is also fine. Nutritional security. Imagine the babies in the midday meal today. The babies are given these millets, sorghum, jowar, bajra. They are given these. Pearl millet is given to them. Fox millet is given to them. So what are these? These again talk about that we have a great system where millets, that is there totally upon us. We have 60% of our land under dryland agriculture. Go back and check your notes. And we grow there the millets. So millets as health, even adults and as kids, all the nutritional support can be given by millets. Hence we are promoting it. Plus these are cheap. These are somewhat affordable and cheap and can help us meet the nutritional security well. They can be grown well in different parts of the country, and hence they can meet your CAs. Remember, accessibility, affordability, and availability. A very easy question, sir. Very easy question. Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Telangana, they are doing enormously well in the field of millets. In Africa also today, there's a millet revolution going on. They are inspired from us. And we are moving towards a healthy environment. The question. Okay. Industrial pollution of river water is a significant environmental issue in India. Discuss the various mitigation measures to deal with this problem and also the government's initiatives in this regard. Sir, you cannot deny that we never discussed this question. Do remember. I'll write the words and you'll remember. Did not we talk about bioremediation? Did not we talk about bioremediation? Did not we talk about biosparging? Did not we talk about bio-augmentation? You only tell me. Bio-augmentation. And yes, these are some of the things via which we can try to improve our water's pollution index. We discussed that how BOD versus COD has been going on as a debate, and COD is helpful to us because BOD is only going to talk about the oxidation of some carbonic organic life. But even for the inorganic life's oxidation, COD is useful. Hence, for a better pollution index, we must use COD. And we have bio-augmentation, biosparging, bioremediation, bio-venting. We have discussed this. We have phytoremediation, plus we have oil zapper bacteria developed by indigenous technologies. So what exactly we do in all of these technologies is, suppose there is a pollution that we find in the water. What we do is, we provide with some oxygen. As we provide with some oxygen via pipes, via direct feeding, so the bacteria that can take up the oxygen, they take it, and whatever industrial pollutants are there, they are being eaten by the bacteria. They are being eaten by the bacteria. So for the oxidation, we provide oxygen to the water. We try to support the bacteria that will eat up these industrial effluents. And of course, we are troubled by these industrial effluents, as can be seen in the river Ganga. Yamuna has become a disaster today because of the industrial pollution. The BOD and COD is too high, and hence we are taking up these technologies of phytoremediation, bioremediation, biosparging, augmentation, venting, and oil zapper bacteria that we have been using. What has India done? Sir, we have already found oil zapper. Number two, for the cleaning of our rivers, we have already started. Remember, Namami Gange project. Namami Gange project. We have already started this. Remember, we discussed that how this Ganga action plan could not be successful. We had to go about then into watershed. We had gone into watershed units to fight this pollution. We have started various incentives for the people who live around these areas. We are promoting so that they have less of effluents. Then NGT, National Green Tribunal, has already ordered a lot of things. CPCB, we already have CPCB. Legally, we have Water Act. We have Water Cess Act. We have to have a Water Act. We have it and we use it. Water Act in order to impose penalties. And CPCB has the power under the Water Act also to impose penalties. We have done this. Sir. Got the point? So we have these many points where a lot of these things are happening. And this is what is about the water, the pollution of the water, the industrial effluents that are being released, and how do we fight them. Done, dusted. Okay. What role do environmental NGOs and activists play in influencing the environmental impact assessment? Do not deny this. Environmental impact assessment was fully discussed with you, with lot of pros, cons, and the new amendments that have come. So we have to talk about role that environmental NGOs and activists can play in influencing EIA outcomes for major projects in India. Cite 4 examples which all important details. Now, one thing is for sure that we cannot remember all the NGOs, that is for sure, but we can remember the cases. For example, if I see here, I find that environmental impact assessment can be influenced by some NGOs and activists so that they can ask the EIA, pressurize the EIA to give a good feasibility report, a genuine feasibility report, and keeps on monitoring how it is going to happen later. Now, imagine we have discussed this and I am presenting before you. When I discussed about EIA, we talked about screening. If you remember screening, we talked about scoping, and we also talked about how actually it is important to have monitoring going on after the decisions have been taken. If I have environmental NGOs plus activists, they can keep on pressurizing at each level of screening when the project is being seen at the prima facie level that what the project is going to do. They can pressurize at the scoping level that what exactly is the scope of this project, how many environmental entities are going to be lost, what is the feasibility, what is the economic foregone, what is the social emotions foregone. We will study this in scoping. And when the decision is taking place, just before that, when the public participation is envisaged, these environmental activists and NGOs can help them out, create an awareness there. They can create an awareness there. And continuously they can keep on monitoring. Once approved, they keep on monitoring. So environmental NGOs and activists keep on monitoring also, or help keep in monitoring whatever has been approved. They can keep on monitoring this. I hope it is fine with you. This is idea again. Very important, sir. Environmental NGO and activists, they can have a great feasibility report, a genuine one. They can give their inputs also because they have been staying in those areas. They know a lot of things about environment. So we have great inputs being given to them, to the authorities. We can have the court cases by these people if the authorities are not listening or they are just trying to ignore some of the data. They can go to the courts, and it has happened lot many times, sir. If you talk about the Niyamgiri Hills, this has happened. Odisha, Niyamgiri Hills against some mine that is going to be operational. Niyamgiri Hills, Odisha. There are a lot of activists that are working there against this POXO. Not only this, we had Aravalis, and when the Aravalis were being troubled, we had environmental activists going in the court and wanting the Aravalis to be stopped from dredging. Again, the help of environmental activists. For the Ganga River, when a new stream was to be made from the Ganga River, it was the BHU professor who went there, called as the Ganga Putra. He went there and he filed a case that they are doing it wrong. So we have such example. We have an example where Mumbai coastal road is being made, which is being protested. We have the protest going on in Uttarakhand for the cutting of the forests. We have examples from daily basis current affairs. We just have to take into consideration. We had the Great Nicobar project, sir. We have the Great Nicobar project that is going on. And it is in this context that EIA becomes more important and pertinent. The Great Nicobar project, 75,000 rupees and 75,000 crore rupees. Logistics terminal city to be made in Great Nicobar at the cost of trees cut down, tribes removed. The activists are doing their best. It is only upon the courts and the consciousness of the government that what they are going to do. But EIA can be very effective if environmental NGOs and activists as a pressure groups are always upon them. Very important. Hence the topic, sir. They have asked you, what role do they play in influencing environmental impact assessment? Yes, sir, they play a very important role. They play a very important role. And yes, the examples can be given. Okay, moving forward. What are the major challenges faced by the Indian irrigation system in recent times? State the measures taken by the government for efficient irrigation management. Okay. I think we have done this again in the class where we discussed how irrigation is not working well. And very easy questions, sir, very easy. Major challenges faced by Indian irrigation. Let's find out, sir. Our irrigation system is marred with lot of problems. Number one, the problem of water availability, the problem of efficiency, the problem of overuse at places, the problem of contaminated water, the issues of groundwater going down, the issue of free electricity supply and hence overuse. We have 60% area under rain fed. That means still irrigation does not command much area. Does not command much area. These are the issues going on, sir. So our irrigation, whatever we might have done, has still not gone to such a mile that it has reached every part. No, it has not happened, sir. The groundwater is going down, water availability is going down, the rivers are drying up, we have less supply, we have efficiency issues, we have overuse at places, we have salinity problem at places because of overuse. Salinity and alkalinity are increasing. These are the issues that are troubling, sir. Have we done anything? Yes. We have brought about, sir, precision agriculture as the norm. Precision agriculture as a norm, precisely putting where it is needed. We have per drop more crop, Krishi Sichai Yojana, per drop more crop. We have accelerated irrigation benefit program. We have the programs where the irrigation actually is turning into micro sprinklers. We have Atal Bhujal Yojana to augment our groundwater, We have taken a lot of initiatives, sir. So the words that I got and the marks that they are giving for this question, I have a great irrigation issue also, and whatever we have been doing. I may not even stop. I can talk about Deen Dayal Upadhyaya, different grid scheme that has come up. We have done it for irrigation. Of course, it has gone into negative things, but we have done it. We have allowed more of irrigation to come by, but still the benefits of irrigation is evading us. Reason, efficiency is very poor. Once the efficiency improves, that only irrigation can do wonders for us. Otherwise, it is all troubling. So a very easy question, discussed many times with you and again coming in front of you. So just be happy with it that you had all the things under your control. What is disaster resilience? How is it determined? Describe various elements of a resilience framework. Also mention the global targets of Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. Okay, sir. Okay. Now, I might not have taken the disaster management classes, but we did this in current affairs. In current affairs, I have been with that voice of mine echoing into ears, giving you again and again into your ears that please imagine if this question comes, how do I answer this? What is resilience? Resilience is your capacity and capability to actually recover from something that has gone negative. Something has hit you, you were strong enough, you were flexible enough, now you are recovering. That is resilience. So that resilience has to be imbibed into our disaster preparedness. I cannot mug up everything, so I have to make my broad ideas. So what is resilience here? That when something is hitting you or you are hit by something, how well you develop, how fast you develop, how fast you recover, that is resilience. So what is disaster resilience? Disaster resilience is seen in the terms or the context that when the disasters are hitting you or they are nearby or when you are hit by it, how well you cope up with it, how well you recover, how infrastructurally you develop well, how economically and socially you develop well, that is your resilience. That means you had something in background prepared for it. How is it determined? Now, there are many parameters to determine it. Economically, socially, emotionally, you can determine it. Now, determination of it can be dependent upon the UN definition also. What are the losses that one has suffered? How well the system has recovered and has compensated for the losses? Less lives that are gone, less destruction that has happened, all is a parameter for your disaster resilience. So let me come back to this point. We also discussed describe various elements. Okay, let's see. So when I say resilience, it is how well you recover after disaster has hit you. Now, having said this, we have a preparedness that must happen. We must take some mitigation measures. We must take some response measures. It also goes into building back better, building back better, and that leads to my again the preparedness. So it's a whole sort of entity that is there imbibed into disaster management. And when you see resilience is there, that means what? The less loss that you face, the early recovery that you have, the infrastructure, economic, society develops well after even disaster hits you. That shows your resilience. And this is all your entities that are imbibed in your resilience. How infrastructurally, economic wise, socially, capacity wise, you're all imbibed with these things. That talks about resilience. And I must tell you, Hyogo framework that was just before your Sendai framework has already given us an idea of how resilience is to be developed. So this question is also in response to coalition of disaster resilience initiative that India has started. India already has a coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure, disaster resilience economy, disaster resilient society. That CDRI India has started. And there are many countries that have joined it. Why? We want to have best practices, best of expertise coming to the country so that we can work well. Build back better. The 3 Bs are there. Build back better. Okay. So Sendai framework 15 to 30, it totally says that every government has a responsibility to take resilience into consideration. You have to take this into consideration. Your accounting, your budget must show this. And we have to make for minimum losses or zero losses. Infrastructure losses must be minimized. Lives gone minimized. That is what we are working for in the Sendai framework. And it is to just have an integration with your budget and accounting system. This is the idea of your resilience linked with Sendai framework, linked with your budget and the entities that are imbibed in your resilience. This is the idea. I hope you got the point. So resilience is build back better. Okay. Flooding in urban areas is an emerging climate-induced disaster. Okay. Discuss the causes of this disaster. First question. Mention the features of 2 such major floods in the last 2 decades in India. Features you have to discuss and describe the policies and frameworks in India that aim at tackling such floods. Okay, so now what they have done in this throughout this mains is they have given you not one question but four questions in one question itself. Discuss the causes of the disaster. Okay, let's see. When I say, sir, urban floods, see what they're asking is flooding in urban areas, urban floods. It has been an emerging climate-induced disaster. What are the causes, sir? What are the causes? We are the cause, sir. We are the cause. Anthropogenic cause. We are the cause of it. Number 2, global warming, emissions. We are the cause for it also. Glaciers melting, rainfall, erratic, whims and fancies, sewage, not clean. We have more of runway as compared to less of seepage that would have gone inside. Less of seepage. So the water, it flows on the roads, metalled roads, urbanization, and the seepage is less. Otherwise, the floods would have been avoided. If you would have soil there, the floods would have been avoided. So climate-induced global emission, anthropogenic, glaciers melting, erratic rainfall, all linked. Okay. Have you done anything? Sir, we have done a lot of things. We brought about smart cities mission. We talked about Amrut Atal mission, rejuvenation and urban transformation. We talked about Atal Bhujal Yojana. We talked about watersheds. We have National Flood Control Program. We have the duties of municipalities that must have cleaned the sewage before it would have happened. We have been doing a lot of things. Yet we are troubled. Sir. And it is we who are accelerating it. So we have done a lot of things. And see, the two such major floods in the last 2 decades. You can talk about last 2 decades, the urban floods. You can talk about Chennai, Mumbai. You can talk about maybe your this Pune floods that have happened. And these urban floods show that there are certain characteristics to it. The characteristics are, they are number one, in a very small amount of rainfall, they just get filled up. Small amount of rainfall only. Number two, they are totally around the areas that are related with monsoons. Around the monsoons they happen. So monsoon related. Three, they are because of all urbanization effect. The urbanization effect. Common feature is that the seaway system collapsed in these. They would inundate all the water, all the areas, all the homes, everything nearby. They will inundate everything. Loss of life, closure of your offices, schools, and it has cost you billions of dollars. It has cost us billions of dollars, sir. That is the feature. So not difficult at all. Human geography, urbanization, we have discussed this. And that is, again, I'm saying you have to think broadly. I think that was the last question for environment, disaster management, agriculture, and geography. And I must again tell you, have your faith in the content being delivered to you. And of course, the classes that I take, I ask you a lot of questions there in the classes that I make you write down. These are for nothing. Like, you will understand these are for just only writing down. No, sir. These are for all the things that would be asked in the examination. If today you are giving or tomorrow you are going to give. That would be all from my side. I hope you had a free hand discussion. I must tell you, we are starting with our offline classrooms. Now in Patna also, this batch is going to start from September 27. You can join us. I take your current affairs, geography, essay in the Delhi Center for the time being. Let's see. And we have English, Hindi both. We have a lot of people joining us. You can also try to take us. The batches are starting soon. Description below, there is link. You can try to click it and join us. This is Chandramouli in front of you, signing off for the day. Thank you so much. Take care. Jai Hind. And do share the session and do share the power of content. Bye. Take care. Jai Hind.